Once upon a time, there were two men who worked as officials. They were not very smart, and one day, they suddenly found themselves on an empty island, like they were on a magic carpet. They had spent their whole lives working in a government office, where they kept papers. They were born there, grew up there, and got old there. They did not know anything outside the office. The only words they knew were, "With great respect, I am your humble servant." But the office was closed, and the two officials were no longer needed. So they were set free. The retired officials moved to Podyacheskiya Street in St. Petersburg. Each had his own house, his own cook, and his pension. When they woke up on the empty island, they were lying under the same blanket. At first, they didn't understand what had happened to them, and they talked as if nothing strange had happened. "What a strange dream I had last night, Your Excellency," said one official. "It felt like I was on an empty island." As soon as he said this, he jumped to his feet. The other official also jumped up. "Oh my God, what is this? Where are we?" They shouted in surprise. They touched each other to see if they were still dreaming, but then they knew it was real. In front of them there was the big ocean, and behind them was a small piece of land, and after that more ocean. They started to cry. This was the first time they cried since the office had closed. They looked at each other and saw that both of them were only wearing their night shirts, with medals hanging around their necks. "We should be drinking coffee right now," said one official. Then he remembered the strange place they were in and cried again. "What are we going to do now?" he cried. "Even if we write a report, what good will that do?" "You know what, Your Excellency," said the other official. "You go to the east and I will go to the west. In the evening we will come back here, and maybe we will find something." They tried to find out which way was east and which was west. They remembered that the head of their office had once told them, "If you want to know where the east is, turn your face to the north, and east will be on your right." But when they tried to find the north, they turned right, left, and looked everywhere. Because they had worked all their lives in the Department of Records, their efforts didn't work. "I think, Your Excellency, the best thing to do is for you to go to the right and for me to go to the left," said one official. He had not only worked in the Department of Records, but had also taught handwriting at the School for Reserves, so he was a little bit smarter. So that's what they did. The one official went to the right. He saw trees full of different fruits. He wanted to pick an apple, but they were too high. He tried to climb the tree, but it didn't work. All he did was tear his nightshirt. Then he found a small stream with many fish. "Wouldn't it be great if we had all this fish on Podyacheskiya Street?" he thought, and his mouth started to water. Then he walked into a forest and saw birds like partridges, grouse, and also hares. "Oh my God! There is so much food here!" he cried. His hunger was growing fast. But he had to go back to their meeting spot with empty hands. He found the other official waiting for him. "Well, Your Excellency, how did it go? Did you find anything?" he asked. "Only an old copy of the Moscow Gazette, nothing else," replied the other official. The officials lay down to sleep again, but their empty stomachs would not let them rest. They couldn't sleep because they were thinking about who was enjoying their pension now, and also about the fruit, fish, partridges, grouse, and hares they had seen during the day. Food in its natural form flies, swims, and grows on trees. Who would have thought this, Your Excellency? Said one official. You're right, said the other official. I also used to think that our breakfast rolls just appeared on the table as they are. So we can say that if we want to eat a bird like a pheasant, we must first catch it, then kill it, take off its feathers, and cook it. But how do we do that? Yes, how do we do that? The other official asked again. They became quiet and tried to sleep again, but they were too hungry to sleep. They saw pictures in their minds of large groups of pheasants and ducks. All the food looked juicy, cooked perfectly, and served with olives, capers, and pickles. I think I could eat my own boots now, said one official. Gloves aren't bad either, especially if they are soft, said the other official. The two officials looked at each other for a long time. There was a strange fire in their eyes. Their teeth were shaking, and a low groan came from their mouths. Slowly, they crawled toward each other, and suddenly they went crazy. They started yelling and groaning. Their clothes tore apart, and the official who used to teach handwriting bit off his friend's medal and swallowed it. But when they saw blood, they both stopped. God help us! They both shouted at the same time. We don't want to eat each other. How did we get to this point? What evil spirit is playing with us? We have to find a way to pass the time, or we will kill each other, said one official. You start, said the other. Can you explain why the sun rises first and then sets? Why doesn't it happen the other way around? You are a funny man, Your Excellency. First you get up, then you go to work, and at night you go to bed. But why can't it be the opposite? You go to bed, see dreams, and then get up. Well, yes, that makes sense. But when I was still working as an official, I always thought like this. Now it is morning, then it will be day, then we will have supper, and finally it will be time to go to bed. When they said the word supper, they both remembered food, and that made them sad. So they stopped talking for a while. A doctor once told me that people can live for a long time just from their own juices, said one official. What does that mean? It's simple. Our bodies make juices, and these juices make more juices, and this keeps happening until all the juices are used up. And then what happens? Then you need to eat food again. Oh no! No matter what they talked about, the conversation always went back to food, and this only made them hungrier. So they decided to stop talking. They remembered the old Moscow Gazette that one of them had found, so they picked it up and started reading it excitedly.